Welcome to Italics, television for the Italian American experience. I'm your host, Anthony Tamburri. On this episode of Italics, our first of the 2017 season, we visit veteran photographer Tony Vaccaro at his studio and attend NOIAW's annual Epiphany celebration in New York City. Born in Pennsylvania, Tony Vaccaro was brought to Italy when his parents returned to their hometown of Bonifacio. In 1939, he returned to the States, and it was at New Rochelle High School that a teacher recognized his talent for photography. Sent to fight in World War II, Il Maestro, as the Italian press refers to the nonagenarian, took over 8,000 photographs, among them the iconic Kiss of Liberation, Last Step of Jack Rose, and Death in the Snow. His 80-year career has spanned film, fashion, art, and intimate celebrity portraits. Lucia Grillo visits Tony Vaccaro at his studio in Long Island City.
Thank you so much for inviting us to your studio. It's really special to be here.
You are welcome. I'm glad you are here.
Thank you. So we've seen and we'll see more of your impeccable photos. But what can you tell us about Tony Vaccaro, the person?
I'm human. I have done many things since I was born that even shocks me. I flew over the South Pole. Then I told them to drop me down, and I wanted to walk from the South Pole to Alexandria, Egypt. It took me 46 days to walk along the Nile River, usually on the right side, sometimes on the left. In Alexandria, I met the man who was the president of Egypt, Colonel Nasser. And Colonel Nasser took me to Cairo, and I spent 2-3 months with him. This is one of the pictures that I took in Egypt.
What made you want to spend time with Nasser?
He welcomed me in his home. And when a leader of a country invites you in, you can't say no. You're lucky, you know.
Is there someone you'd say no to?
Oh yes, many people.
What about Donald Trump?
He would be one of them that I I don't think I ever faced Donald Trump.
Who or what have some of your influences been?
Bertrand Lewis, my school teacher.
This was at New Rochelle High School,
That's right.
where we both graduated from.
That's right. That's right. This was the potato sack race in New Rochelle. Isaac Young High School in New Rochelle. The man in white in back is Mr. Bertram Lewis, who made me a photographer. When I arrived there, I arrived with that, but the original in clay. And I said, I want to be a sculptor. And he said, Tony, you already took some pictures for me. You are a born photographer, not a sculptor. So he brought the pictures that I had taken. Says, this, you are a photographer. I realized that photography had something special. This is one of the first pictures I've ever taken with a very cheap camera. This was in Naples when my sister came to America, and I remained in Bonefro in Italy. It was the day Gloria and Sue left for America to go to New Rochelle, New York, and Zia Assunta Donofrio was waiting there at 32 Park Avenue in New Rochelle, New York. I left 2 years later. It was Thanksgiving Day, 1939, when I arrived in New Rochelle. So,
Your most recent exhibit was titled War, Peace, Beauty.
yes.
How does an artist, or even a human being, but since you're an artist and you're you, find beauty in ugliness?
Real ugliness you just stay away from. How to make things beautiful, it's here. These are pictures I have taken.
This is especially poignant right now.
Debbie Reynolds, she passed away. There's all kinds of motions here, with the legs, with the arms, and she's in the air. I created myself many problems here. She's going up and down and sideways. How do you solve the problem? How can you make an interesting picture out of situations that vary a lot, you see? Mm-hmm. So in life, we are controlling humanity ourselves. We could be much worse, you know.
That's true, yeah.
If we have an idea when we lived in a cave like animals, when we ate each other, killed each other, you have no idea. The Bible idea of how we came about is for the birds. So, and the reason I take these kind of pictures is a challenge. She's going up and down and sideways. It's impossible, almost. I love this of Jackson Pollock with his dog. I was taking pictures of Jackson Pollock, and all of a sudden the dog comes and puts himself right next to it and gave me that famous picture.
You know what we call that nowadays? A photo bomb.
A photo bomb? Voila.
The reason why I asked you about finding beauty and ugliness is because when you documented the war, it wasn't solely documentation. Your photos are beautiful.
Look at this one, just soldiers. This is real war. We are marching, we are advancing. And one of the reasons why we are this apart is so that they cannot kill us with a machine gun, you see. We don't know where we're going. But I am here. This is the camera. I would open this, sun would come into the camera, big camera, and I would put negative film, unexposed, in front of the negatives, and I would remove this, gave it light, and then I showed all those that I had just printed. You understand?
Yeah.
And this was the first day of peace. I was in this stand when people start dancing in the middle of the street. They had just announced the war is over. Look at these early Mexican people.
That's beautiful.
These are people, they were not white. They were perhaps over the years, they went there by boat from Europe to South America, you know. And I kept going on all over the world looking for unusual places. This is Forio d'Ischia,
I thought it was Ischia, yeah.
yeah, during the shooting of the film by Federico Fellini. He came there to do a film. And he is filming, right, the camera is there, and he's filming this scene. I was the man who introduced Anita Ekberg, Miss Sweden. I introduced her to Federico Fellini, and he put her in the film.
Thank you. You gave us, you were the reason for one of the most iconic film images.
Yes. There's De Kooning and his wife. Many years ago this was done.
Have you ever had concerns or like fears of your work, either not pushing far enough or sometimes even pushing too far? Taking risks or being too risky?
I have it all the time. I had it with you. Taking a chance on this earth is the most common thing.
If your photography could change anything, what would you choose that to be?
I think mankind has to constantly evolve. Evolution has not come and gone. It takes every day. Our children challenge this world every day, and something could happen to them that we do not know. So we have to be very careful, and we have to give the best we can.
And you've seen a lot in your 94 years. What kind of changes have you seen through your lens in the world and humanity? Or has nothing changed?
Things are changing minutely. And these pictures give you an idea. People meet, they talk, they try to improve themselves. We find cheaters, but men, you see, the biggest mistake we made is that each group of people on this earth associated itself with the name of a locality. Now, we are Italians. Now, you can take anything, any part of me. All we have is blood, cells. Nowhere it says this is Italian. I'm not Italian, I'm not French, I'm not German. We have not yet learned this, because these are the words that lead us to war with each other. We are humans all over this earth. I have 2 grandchildren. I hope they will inherit something better than what we have to offer. So we're still at the beginning of those caves that man built.
Exactly. You've had friendships and you've captured some of our most iconic people in the arts, in cinema, literature.
If you want to call yourself a photographer of people, you better be the one to do what you're supposed to do.
And you've covered so much of humanity,
Yes,
from the most
like
celebrated to the
Marcel.
most. Yeah.
I mean, he is at Look magazine in 1945. The first picture I took in Saint-Briac, where now in that square is about to go up a monument on Tony.
What's the name of that square?
Place Tony Vaccaro.
There are 3 people in this photo that were also pretty influential to your photography.
Yes. My captain, my major, and a colonel. And this was taken August 14, 1945. This, I happened to be going, visiting New York. Here it is, I'll read it for you. One day I went to New York in 1942 and saw this mock-up of Hitler, and remember that I left Europe to escape the war there. But now it seems as if the war follows me to America.
Did it have an effect on you being an Italian
Fighting for America?
Yeah.
They were just about to be shot when I said, "They are like me in Italian, please." And they stopped it and they interviewed. So they lived because I complained about killing prisoners. They didn't like Italians helping Germany. That was the problem. They did not understand that Mussolini was not Italy.
How would you like to be remembered?
As a photographer. He was a photographer of humanity. I didn't use photography to make the Italians greater, the Russians greater, mankind. I'm concerned with mankind, not with Italians, or Germans, or French.
Do you shoot digital ever?
No.
Always on analog, on film.
Yeah.
You know Instagram, you have an Instagram account, which I imagine you're not the one who puts the photos. Have you seen Instagram? There are millions of people on Instagram posting photos every millisecond. What do you think about that?
I don't know what that is.
And millions of people are on Instagram and they just take a photo with their cell phone. There are filters, you can edit the photo right on the cell phone and post a picture.
They can take this if I show it.
Have you ever taken a selfie?
My penthouse in New York City.
That's a selfie.
Oh, you can see the arm, you see?
Yes, exactly. Can we take a selfie?
Was that it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll take one with mine if you don't mind.
Yeah.
The National Organization of Italian American Women held its annual Epiphany celebration at the Columbus Citizens Foundation Townhouse, honoring this year's 3 wise women.
Let me congratulate very specially the 3 honorees of tonight. 3 great women. I read their CV, really impressive. I think they are 3 examples of this terrific leadership of women in 3 different professional fields. There's an old saying that does not apply, I think, anymore in general, which is behind every man, every great man, there's a great woman. But what I'm very sure that it doesn't apply to NOIAW, because NOIAW women are very much at the center of the stage. They are the protagonists of their professional, family life, and also of New York life. So, viva le donne, viva NOIAW, e viva l'Italia. Grazie.
On behalf of the National Board of Directors, thank you for joining us to honor these 3 very accomplished, wise women. Congratulations to our honorees and our appreciation to all of you for supporting the National Organization of Italian American Women.
When I thought of myself as a wise woman, in fact, I think a few people teased me. And I thought about the wise men, the Epiphany wise men, the 3 kings. And I thought they had 3 things that they did. One of them was they traveled far and they took risks. They traveled in groups and they gave great presents. So I think I could do that. I could do that. So I've been thinking about how I could be just like the 3 kings, or how I try to live that way. And so the first thing I'll say is that I'm willing to take risks. I took risks. I became a lawyer when I was 40, when my father said, I don't know if you should even go to college, Judy. So I made sure I went. I went on my own. I went at night, and I went when I had 2 sons, and my 2 sons are here today. The second thing, travel in groups. One of the things we Italian American women have always learned is you really have to reach out beyond just yourself. You have to reach out to the community. And that is one of the ways in which we get strong, is we keep that crowd around us, just like the three wise men. They didn't travel alone. And the other thing is give great presents. So I learned that you have to be generous. You really have to be generous. That's how you become a wise woman. And that's the real gold in this world, is to give of yourself. So if I can be a wise woman like those wise men, I'll just keep on giving, and I hope that you will join me in that.
I just know that this honor really belongs to my parents, to my grandparents, that showed me love and was so open and expressed emotion with such ease, which infused passion in me to just love with no boundaries. I would just like to recognize, because you mentioned Kenan, which I didn't know you would, but Kenan, the first boy that I helped who had stepped on a landmine and lost his 2 arms and a leg when he was 11, is my sole inspiration and the reason I'm here. Kenan is now assistant vice president of his company. Yes. So my charity has helped just about 40 countries with over 200 kids. We have one that just had surgery. Anyway, this is what we do, and I'm so honored to be here.
I was the first person in my family to go to college. I remember very well one of the first weeks that I was at Boston University, and a young woman who was in my dorm and I were talking about our families, and she said to me, I'm estranged from my father. And I had never even heard that word before. I didn't know. I said, what do you mean your father is strange? How is your father strange? She said, no, we're estranged. We don't see eye to eye on some things, and so we just don't talk to each other. The Italian-American families that I knew, you might not like someone, you might not agree with them, you might be passionately opposed in politics and love and everything else, but you needed to figure out how to sit down on Sunday and have dinner with them at your grandmother's house, no matter what. And I learned from those Sunday dinners how to get along with people that I didn't agree with. And that's just one of those life lessons that I have learned from my Italian-American family. And now I use those same traits in resolving high-stakes litigation, in getting elected to the New York Supreme Court, and resolving disputes between people for hundreds of millions of dollars. I am lucky and grateful to be connected to all these women who are here at NOIAW.
The message these 3 wise women leave with us is, life is a circular journey. May we all be everything we can be, and our beautiful Italian-American culture and traditions will continue to be transmitted in and through us, within our families, and in society. These wise women can't help transmitting their culture, and indeed, nor can we. Wordsworth summed this up in his greatest work, The Prelude. What we have loved, others will love, and we will teach them how.
Italics would like to take a moment to recognize our sustainers: the President of Queens College and the Chancellor of the City University of New York, ILICA, the Italian Language Intercultural Alliance, and the Francesco and Mary Giambelli Foundation have provided generous grants for future programming, both for Italics and the Calandra Institute. Thanks for watching this episode of Italics. I'm Anthony Tamburri. Arrivederci alla prossima puntata.